Hello guys, welcome back to Society Mike channel. And today I'm your host, Gugan, and I have another co-host with me.
Christopher. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
And over here we have our guests. So Josh,
Yes.
yeah, is that okay? Yeah. So Josh, could you tell us what are you doing currently?
Firstly, thank you for having me here. It's
Of
really
course.
a privilege.
Of course.
You know, I'm very honored to be among young people like yourself who are really making good, meaningful changes, working in the people here, adding value to society. I mean, it's really impressive.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For myself, I'm working as an in-house lawyer, for a company that is based in China. I handle all their legal activities pertaining to trade agreements, joint ventures, mergers outside of China. So I'm based out of Singapore, and that's where I do. So I'm an in-house lawyer. I don't practice public. I can't give you legal advice. It's against the law.
Okay. But can you still give us if you want?
I could, but you probably have to buy me a drink.
Okay, that could be done.
That's doable. That's doable.
Yeah. So that's where I am currently in life. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So prior to this, what can you tell us about how you came up
Into this. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Very interesting. Actually, I wasn't a lawyer to start with in the first place. Okay. I was in the hotel business for 29 years.
Okay. 29 years.
29 years. I was with the Shangri-La group.
Okay.
And I left them in 2022. I was the vice president of operations for global operations. So Shangri-La is about 100 hotels. I was overseeing rooms operations for Shangri-La. I was based out of Hong Kong for 5 years.
Okay.
And I started as a receptionist and a bellboy and all that kind of wonderful stuff in 1994, fresh out of the army.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I never went to hotel school.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I started because I was desperate for a job.
Okay.
But I stayed with them for 29 years, and the company was good to me. Okay, it was a good organization. I grew. I invested some time. But then I made a shift to law, first out of interest. And then later, I realized I was really passionate about it. So I made the big move after I decided to leave them. Yeah.
Okay.
So what was your push towards law? There must be some sort of drive or anything like that.
Or maybe something happened that
yeah,
maybe.
maybe something happened.
Okay, well, two parts. First part, very quickly, was I always wanted to be a lawyer when I was young.
Okay.
But because I was poor, I had to leave school. I had to give up on that dream. I had to drop it. I go to work. So I went to work in the factories in Singapore, where I'm from. So that was that. But it always stayed there that I want to pursue this education somewhere. So that was always in the back of my mind. But during the period of COVID, we were dealing with a lot of issues. And of course, hotel companies, tourism, we were greatly affected. And you are in a lot of meetings where you're discussing things about how to roll procedures, policies. And we are hotel people, but you're dealing with a medical issue, correct? A lot of this is about how to regulate rules, regulations. So I said, and then suddenly something came by my desk, I saw it. It's like, study law and all that. I thought, okay, maybe if I at least just learn, I could help my company do better. So the intention was actually, how do I help the job I'm in and I do better by bringing in another skill set that I don't have, that I thought could solve a problem we have at hand. What I didn't realize at that time was it turned out to be a passion that was deep to me and something I wanted to pursue after that. Yeah.
I think there's an advice you can give to everyone, right? It's never too old to keep
It's
learning. It's you keep learning, you learn new things.
You are absolutely right. Let me just put this in a simple thought, okay? And maybe you can see, based on age. Education of the type where your parents say, do this, do that, get the score, get this, that's all respectful. It's all part of society. But education in the sense of learning is something you should never give up on. You should always embrace it. I went back at the age of 36 part-time to do my certificate in business. I mean, I think Malaysia, you call it SPM. I only had O-levels equivalent, correct?
Yeah.
So 36, you go back and do a certificate in business. 36 to the age of 40, it took me all those years to get my MBA. So I did my MBA with University of Melbourne, part-time while working and being married. That means my wife, on Saturday, Sunday, she knew I'll be in the room studying. So 36 to the age of 40 to get my MBA. I did it, no? Then I carried on. And at the age of 47, I went back to law school part-time, doing a master's in law, while being the head of a rooms operation in the midst of COVID. Try to put those three things together. Are you telling me you don't have time in your life?
Yeah,
I've got
exactly,
100
yeah.
hotels
Yeah.
and people's lives on my hand.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to make this work. Who do you need in life to make this successful? Only two things. You need yourself to say, I'm going to do this, but you need one more secret ingredient. You need a good partner. Somebody who's going to stick it with you while you are putting the hours and the inches to make it. So, in life, one advice, study is good, pursuing is good. Make sure you're with somebody good who will see you through.
I
Okay?
hope so.
Take
I
that.
hope so.
Take that advice, guys.
Find the right person, stick it through.
If there's anyone out there, please reach out. Okay.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned about COVID and you handling the hotels, right?
Yes, I did.
But can you give me some insights? Like when during COVID, that no one was staying in the hotel, or were you all housing COVID patients?
Actually, yes, it became a bit like, just to use an old phrase, twilight zone. Something changed overnight. From being hotels where people pay money to want to come and stay, we became a place where people pay to get quarantined.
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah.
And in China, the government was taking over the hotels, literally as a facility. So we had to give up the hotels to the Chinese government in certain cities, and they would give us a long list of regulations. So that was one type of problem. In Southeast Asia, in Kuala Lumpur, in the Philippines, in Singapore, our hotels became, or Shangri-La's hotels became quarantine facilities. So we had to relook at how you clean a room. For example, a very simple thing. You clean today in your house, you use a chemical, just wipe it out. You cannot use that chemical in a COVID environment. You have to use something called EPA. These are medical level chemicals. So we had to learn new procedures. We had to come up with new policies. Our staff had to wear hazmat equipment. All of a sudden, you're dealing with contamination zone.
Yeah.
So you would get an issue. Suddenly, you come to work and then you hear, Singapore, we have an infection. What do you mean infection? Yeah, the whole country is having an infection, correct? Dude, I can see the number myself. I don't need you. Say, no, you don't understand. There were 3 customers who got infected in these rooms, and we need to shut it down, and we need to, so it was continuously dealing with some emergency. And we are not the only hotel company. All hotel companies went through this. And it was really challenging because there is no textbook for this.
It's a new thing, right? Suddenly
This is new. You
Yeah.
are planning and improvising and using initiative, trying to figure out a problem that has hit you. And the closest resemblance was 1914, the Spanish flu.
Spanish flu.
Guys, come on. It doesn't match. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a very stretch. Everybody was stretched. But I must say, I think most important, cooperation, people coming together. These were actually the real secrets. And guys like me who sit in a head office coming policies, we're not the important ones. You know who they were? The guys at the hotels who were doing the job with the people, I salute them until today. Until today. The rest of us were planning, we were taking some risks.
Yeah, but you all weren't really doing the...
We were not there. Full stop. I make no excuses. Somebody had to be there to plan it. But my hats off today. I will still salute the guy who was serving the customer at the hotel. Yeah, no bones about it.
So you were saying that you are from the army, right?
Yeah, national service. I did
National
that.
service.
Not very distinguished, but yes, I did do it.
I mean, is it because of that experience, like you sort of like to have this sort of mental strength? Was it one of a factor? Would you say that?
It is a part of it.
Okay.
It is a part of it. But the deeper, more internal thing is my family background.
Okay.
We were from I come from a low-income family in Singapore. Okay, and this is when Singapore was still getting out of 1970s, 80s, correct? So we were just building up, correct? The world was changing very quick. The British had left Singapore, so a lot of people lost their jobs. My father was one of them. He was British Army. My point was, as I grew up home, and my parents and me had a big age gap. I was the only child. The point to it was, I always knew I had to look out for them, and I have nobody else. So something built in me that I have to do it, and I have to make it, and I cannot give myself an excuse for not making it.
Purpose.
Yeah. So I have a purpose in life. I have to look after my parents in every way possible. Everything else is secondary. My personal happiness, my interests, all that is of no relevance because my life was such. I'm not saying it's anybody else's life, but it was there. So that gave me a purpose.
Understand. So, how was it like with your relationship with your dad?
Oh, that's a funny question. I never reflected on it. No, he was my best friend. Yeah,
Okay.
he was my best friend. We got on well. Okay, got on well. But he and I had 50 years difference. Eh?
Wow.
Okay, 50 years difference. He was born in 1925. I was in 73. Only child. Okay, so only son. Yeah. So we had a very easygoing relationship. He wouldn't beat me up. He would talk to me. He would try to reason with me. I would throw tantrums. That was how life growing up.
Okay.
But he took a big break because I think when I was 13 or 14, he had his first stroke. Then by the time the first stroke hit him badly. I went through depression. And I was 13 years old. It was hard to figure out what he was going through, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's your father. Then you're like, your father is everything, no?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, this guy is broken. And then you're like, it makes you nervous. You're like, oh my God, is life like this? Do you get the rug pulled out of you? Then I went to work, obviously. Then, things were improving. I was earning money. I could look after him. But then sadly, I think when I was about 21 or 22, and I was getting promoted. I mean, I was hard. I was pushing it, okay?
And this was in the Shangri-La, right? Hotel.
Shangri-La,
Hotel,
yes, Shangri-La. So I was promoted quite fast. Within 9 months, I went from receptionist to supervisor.
Nice.
From supervisor, within 2 years, I became manager. People are like, what is wrong with this guy? He never even went to hotel school, correct? I really pushed the numbers.
Okay.
I wanted to make him proud. Unfortunately, he had a second stroke. And that one made him bedridden. And back then, we got no helpers. So my mother and me, we used to bathe him, clean him, all that. I'm proud to say it. And I'm not ashamed about it, not because of anything. It's not like, wow, I did this. It is the greatest honor you can get,
Yeah.
serving your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Like, these days where we hear stories of parents bedridden and people, of course, some of them where they do look after their parents and all that. But also some other people where they complain about it. They think it's like more of
A chore?
And
a job.
yeah,
something.
and most of the time they just leave them in daycare. Nursing cares
exactly.
and all that, right? So, yeah,
So,
we see that a lot.
Yeah, we see that a lot nowadays. But then it's nice to hear this from you. Like, it's
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Perhaps in their defense, I'm a lawyer now, correct? So I should defend
You can't
the
give
guy
legal-
who's not in
you
the
can't
room.
give legal advice.
In their defense, maybe because of work, financial, they have no choice. They have
That's
to
true. That's
put
true.
them in
Yeah.
thing. At my time, it was very simple. I'm the sole breadwinner. This is it. And back then, facilities were not around, correct? So you did what you had to. But I think one thing I could say, perhaps to consider for your audience, is this. You put them in a nursing home, or you look after them, or you get a maid, and you visit every weekend. That's your family arrangement. But your parents is not a chore.
Correct.
It's a duty.
Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I say that strongly? Did your parents think you were a chore when they were cleaning your diapers?
Yeah.
Come on. You need to reflect.
Yeah.
This is maturity.
That's
Correct.
true.
This is
Yes.
maturity. You need to reflect and ask yourself, hey, I get a chance to do this for my father or mother. This is the highest honor you can do them. Not lip service. You go and stand on a graduation ceremony with this and that, titles and all that. You know what? You make them proud.
Sure.
You serve them at their moment of weakness, at the time when they're physically not possible. That is humanity. I don't know what else you can achieve in life.
Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, that's well said.
That's my view.
Yeah.
I don't impose it on anybody, but
That's well
it's
said.
a way I adopt an attitude to these things.
Maybe you could tell us what was it like when you were at your lowest point? Like what was running in your mind
Yeah.
at that time?
And how did you motivate yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, lowest point. Well, I have to give you a sad truth, correct?
Okay.
Lowest points occur quite often.
okay.
They're not a one-off event,
Of course,
but when you're young, when I was around your age,
Yeah.
correct, you learn to deal with it better as you get older. In your first defeat, that means you're on a riding high. First time somebody brings you down, okay? You don't expect it. You don't. Because you're not old enough, you don't have experience, and it's not your fault. So it happens. The world is against you. The people you trusted have broken your trust. Things you expected to work out does not work out. So what do? You have to ask yourself, why am I here in the first place? So you go back, you rewind, what is my purpose? Then you say, is this permanent? You have to ask yourself, am I physically, permanently impossible I can get myself out of this? If the answer is, no, I can move, you start looking for options. I always tell people, think of Shawshank Redemption, this movie.
What a great movie.
Yeah.
Why? If you can take a look at it from this fresh pair of eyes. Guy gets wrongly accused, thrown into prison, and the whole movie goes through, correct? And all you see him is he's just going through. One fine day, towards the end of the movie, he's made an escape. And nobody knew how he built that hole through the wall. So you ask me, how do I get through? I saw that movie. I told myself, I will be like him. I will build one by one. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to discuss with you. I will just do the inner work. And one day, when the time comes, I'm leaving. Either I'm leaving to the next level or I'm going beyond. But you're not going to get me. So, Shawshank Redemption, look at it from not entertainment, but about sheer human spirit and will to pursue something and go forward in spite of your circumstances. A guy locked in a cell. Try to imagine that.
Yeah.
Freedom robbed from him, and he escaped. So
He's wrongly accused as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Worst of all, this is called down on your luck.
True.
I don't know. Did I answer that?
Yes, well said. Well said.
I think whatever you've been telling us is like hitting me like a bus.
Wow.
Boom.
If it's too intense, please have a drink.
Oh, speaking of drinks,
Yes.
today's sponsor is sponsored by the Sambar Incident. Thank you. They have lovely mugs.
Great mugs.
Yes. And we also get t-shirts. I don't know what it says. What do you think? But, like in Tamil is what do you think? Something like that. So thank you, the Samba Incident. Yeah, so.
Getting back into the topic.
Do you want to discuss about anything?
Do you have any insights?
Hot topics?
You want to share about the real world?
I don't know, maybe some
the real world.
advice. Maybe some
Oh,
advice
real
to
world, no
upcoming-
problem. Advice sometimes is a bit like recycle rubbish.
Correct.
Yeah.
Something-
So you should take it with a pinch of salt.
Okay.
Even coming from me.
Yeah.
Okay. I think what I see in this talk and what I've observed of other guest speakers, they speak about overcoming your limitations. And I'm very inspired listening to young people speak about that because I think it's very important. Let me give you about limitation. I think I briefly spoke before the show.
Yes, we did.
Limitation is, imagine 1995, 96, okay, if you were around that time.
I wasn't born then, but
And you apply for a job. You don't go online because the online was not online, didn't exist. You open a newspaper and it will write there, Chinese only to apply. Or Chinese speaking preferred, which basically meant that's all that's required. So you have limitations. There are those imposed by society. Nobody's fault. It's the way the world works. Maybe they're doing business with companies that require Chinese speaking. Strangely enough, today I work for a Chinese company, but they don't want me because I speak Chinese, but they want me because I speak English, correct? So it works the other way around too, correct? It turned out to be a benefit. Yeah, they just want a lawyer who speaks English, deal with the rest. I had to deal with not having education, proper education to complete. I had to deal with certain challenges at home, elderly parents, which means I cannot just run off and work somewhere, even if somebody offered a job. I think it is important that you never give up on yourself. You have to have a clear vision for yourself. The vision may change, but the purpose cannot change. Never mistaken purpose and tactics. Tactics is how you do something to get something. The purpose is, am I here to serve only myself? If your answer is that, I think you may be disappointed in life as you get older. Why? Serving yourself, eventually you realize you feel empty. But like you guys doing here, you're serving a society. You're serving your fellow men. You're serving a community of listeners, which I totally respect. And this community can help each other. This community can support one another. The people who are your followers can support one another. Perhaps more positive comments can encourage other people to adopt certain beliefs.
Mhm.
This you cannot give up.
Yeah.
You take this away from yourself, you do yourself a big injustice. You need to have that hope, that belief, and that purpose that what I do will benefit my community, my fellow man, my neighbor. Correct? Yes, you may count things like number of followers, number of hits. Those are matrices. Tell me something. Isn't even one life worth it?
It is.
Yeah, of course.
Then, if you saved one life, in your whole life, you saved one human being life, my God, that's already amazing. So, everything else is a bonus.
Correct. Yeah.
True.
Definitely well
follows
said.
through,
Yeah.
Yes, that is the belief you got to have. So, this is what I say. You keep an eye on the number, like we do in business, commercial world. But ultimately, it's about the people. I'll tell you one simple thing, if time permits.
Yeah.
25th anniversary of Shangri-La. So Shangri-La is about 50 years already as a company. I was on duty in the lobby of Shangri-La Singapore. And as there was a big event, anniversary event going on. You are familiar, he is a son of Malaysia, Robert Kuok.
Yes.
He is my boss. Okay, I've served him many years. He's now 101. God bless him. He's still well. Okay. Shangri-La has two entrances in Singapore: the main ballroom and the main entrance. Two separate, quite far away. So our president of Singapore, ministers, all coming up for the VIP event over there, Island Ballroom, we call it. I was standing over here. Suddenly, I saw a Mercedes come. The car door opened by itself, and I saw this elderly gentleman walking out. And I was like, hold on, that looks like Robert Kuok. Firstly, why did the car come here? Should have gone to the president where he's waiting. President of Singapore is waiting there.
Okay.
So he comes in. I ran the fastest 100-meter dash between the main lobby to the door because nobody was at the door to greet him.
Oh, okay.
Door open, I was there. I said, Mr. Kuok, good evening. He said, good evening. I said, I was cheeky, I was quite young. I said, Mr. Kuok, you came to the wrong building. So he looked at me, he smiled. Correct. And I said, the dinner is over there with the president. You know what he asked me? Have you eaten your dinner? Have the staff eaten their dinner? I got a shock. This man is interested in my dinner. He's having dinner with the president of Singapore. You know what he taught me? Everybody matters. The higher you go, it's even more important that you pay attention to everybody in your entire business. So one of the key lessons I learned about people was from Robert Kuok at that time. Yeah. And that carried me through my career, whereby I said, no matter how high you go,
Value everyone else.
you have to value everyone. If you cannot figure that out, it's not going to work out well for you.
Yeah. No matter how big, how
If you treat
influential
people
are.
as a number, they will also count the number with you. The hours, the pay,
True.
the minutes.
True.
If you count the person as something important to you, hopefully you'll get the same back. Maybe not all the time, but better to be treating better than treat otherwise. I don't know.
I think we can say like these days where like people will say, oh, you got to give and take. I totally disagree with that. I would say like just give, and if you get it back, you get it back, but just give without expectations.
I totally agree with you. Okay. And could I add
Yes.
Yeah,
some
please,
definition
please,
to this?
yes.
Yeah. Give and take. Very simple. What is within your capability to give freely, or even if it costs you money, but it's not going to break you, do so.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to give you something freely, take it. But if you treat everything as a transaction, then are you a calculator or a human being?
Yeah.
What, 1 + 1 must equals to 2? Correct? Why I say give and take is compromise. Compromise is okay. That's fine. But if a transaction between human beings is about, I give you this, I need to receive that, correct? Everything is about that. Then you've lost sight of compassion. You've lost sight of generosity. You've lost sight of the need to support your fellow human being. Don't always remember, there are people who are just unlucky. They need a hand in life. They have nothing to give you. If you go around doing trading with people, how will those who don't have the luck do better?
Yeah. I think I came across a video related to this where like he just said, if you could just help one person in a day, the whole world will be saved.
Yes. Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Of course.
True, because one leads to
Yeah,
another, and then it
right?
leads to another, right?
Yes. You have to
Domino
build
effect.
something, a virtuous cycle. Because trust me, I have 29 years of commercial experience. Okay, hotels are not cheap. They cost a few $100 million to build. Okay, and these are big investments. So spending time in meetings, listening to people talking about how to spend a few $100 million is something I'm used to. Yeah, I can tell you a secret. You want to hear?
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
I never saw anybody in the room happy.
Okay.
They all look quite upset because after the 100 million came another 10 million, came another 5 million. You know what? Business is business. It supports people. It provides a job. It provides a community. Again, I bring back my dear founder, Mr. Robert Kuok. When they asked him in Fortune magazine many years ago, why do you build hotels here? He didn't say make money. It's written in black and white. I have the article until today. He said, it is good to build a hotel and provide employment for the local community and a service to them. That is why Shangri-La built what it did. Don't get me wrong, we didn't do charity, we built great hotels.
Yeah.
But I learned from this man, his business perspective was to help the community. Somebody who has no experience in any job could come and find a job as a cook, a doorman, a bellman, and find a career. I am one of them. This is uplifting community. And then he says, if the price of the property goes up over time, it's good for inflation. So yes, commercial sense there, but which came first?
Community first.
Serve the community first,
Yes.
and then comes there. So when I hear people talking about we can do this, it will hit, I said, no problem. What is your purpose? Are you serving something meaningful that will make a difference? The money should come, the cost should be managed, but the leadership should have a purpose. I don't know.
Nice. That's
I told you I didn't want to give you recycle advice. I gave you advice from a man who's 100 over years old by observing him, and I worked for him for quite a number of years, and I worked for his children after that. Okay, and the things I've learned from this group, plus my own life experience, taught me something. Being decent, honest with people. You may not become a billionaire like Mr. Kuok, God bless him, but you know what? You'll go to sleep at night, and your family will respect you. I will close with one thing on this point. I lost my father at 26. Fast forward 40 something. I went to a shop in Singapore. Elderly Indian gentleman selling American goods. There was a picture of him together with a white gentleman, black and white. I said, oh, sir, what is this picture? He said, I was in the British Army. He was sitting down on a stool. And then after that, he asked me, so I said, oh, my father was British Army too. He said, oh, okay, what's your father's name? I said, John Masillamoney. The guy did a surya. He just got up and he put his hand out. I said, my God, what did I do? Freak this guy up. You are John Masillamoney's son? I said, yes. I was your father's driver
wow.
in the army. I said, oh, I didn't even know my father had a driver. Never mind. He told me this. Your father is a nice, honest, decent man. How is he? I said, he's passed on. He was broken-hearted. You never know when in that timeline of your life, your name will be repeated again. Under what circumstance and for what reason. Please guard it safely. Honor it, because your name is not yours. Your parents gave it to you. Yeah. Honor your parents.
That is wonderful sharing
Yeah.
by Joshua.
It's been
It's
really
been
good
great.
talking to you, and you
Yeah.
gave us a lot, and I hope the audience can learn something as well from you.
Definitely.
I'm an old man to some degree, but I hope it helps.
Yes, always listen to the old man, right? All right, I think we've
Right.
come to the end of our show.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you,
I
Josh.
wish you
being on
much
our-
success
Thank
and
you.
great
Thank
things
you.
to come.
Thank you so much.
And your audience.
And guys, don't forget to subscribe. And thank you, the Samba Incident, for sponsoring today's shoot.
Thank you.
All right,
Stay
take care.
tuned.
Bye bye. Stay tuned for the next episodes.